How's your week?
Really good, actually. Yeah. How's yours?
It was all right. It's all right. I was just trying to think. It's all a bit of a blur, but
Have you got a bit of gastroenteritis this afternoon?
maybe because I went for some Thai food at lunchtime, and yeah, I can still think about it.
Get reminded of it every 20 minutes.
Not good. That.
What did you have?
Penang curry.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
It's really nice too.
Fair dues. Yeah.
Food market.
Nice. You know what Penang means in Thai, though, don't you?
Slow death.
Makes one shit oneself.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's where you went wrong, I think.
Talking about shitting yourself, how's your discovery?
Oh, fucking hell, like, yeah. So, what a nightmare of a fucking thing that is. So, hello, everybody, by the way. Welcome to Wheels and Wings podcast number 5, which is number 8, but for you guys, number 5, for us, number 8. So, yeah, discovery. So, obviously, last weekend, I went down to New Forest, which was very nice to meet the new girlfriend's new parents.
Yeah.
Not new parents, they're her original parents.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I went down there and it was great. It was really, really good. Had a great time. No one likes limp home mode. Yeah, limp home mode is a problem. Like, you know, because I understand cars, I don't understand the benefits of limp home mode either. Like, why it would do it. I think it's programmed in to embarrass the driver. I think that's the only way I can think it would help in any situation is to embarrass the driver. Because if the car's overheated, it's fucked anyway. If the gearbox is broke, it's fucked anyway. If there's anything wrong with the car, it's fucked anyway. Why limit it to 25, 30 mile an hour?
But isn't it, so if you continue at 80 mile an hour, it's definitely going to die. But if they limit you to 30 mile an hour, you might just get home. Is that not the idea of it?
I just don't know how that would work. I mean, if your engine's going to die,
yeah,
it's going to die anyway, I suppose, anyway, isn't it?
You're not thrashing it anymore, though, are you? So,
but I just don't think it works like that. Like, you know, I've never had a car that died that whatever killed it would have not happened had I reduced my speed. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because your engine's still, because it's manual, your engine's doing the same sort of, it's doing 1,500, 2,000 RPM regardless of, you know, but it's just not letting you put as much fuel and stuff in. So anyway, there I am, driving along the motorway. And I've got this gorgeous woman sat next to me. And every now and then, the Discovery goes, beep, 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 and goes, ooh, and slows down. And we're in the outside lane doing 80, like, you know, in the rain, you know, and I'm like, fuck. So I flick the key off, flick the key back on again, and I'm sort of glancing over, and I don't think she's noticed. I'm like, it's okay.
How did you know to do that? Like switch it off and back on again? It literally Control-Alt-Delete.
Control-Alt-Delete, that's it, yeah. So if you ever get any sort of electronic stuff come up on your car, just switch it off and switch it back on again, leave it 5 minutes, do the same. 9 times out of 10, that fixes it. I've done it so many times.
Bizarre how often that works, isn't it?
Yeah, totally bizarre.
On a phone, on a computer, and a car. Computers.
Well, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, yeah, just really, really frustrating. But, but then it comes back on again. So, driving like, beep, 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 beep. And then, oh.
How often?
So, maybe every 20 minutes. And bearing in mind, we're in a 4.5, 5 hour drive home. It's like, fucking hell. But sometimes it'll be an hour. And then sometimes it'll be every 2 minutes. So it's like dead frustrating. So it's like, it's quite late at night and we're going through this, you know, sort of particularly boring stretch of road. Beep, 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 boom. And at this whole time, so we're about 3 hours into drive, I'm thinking, I'm getting away with this. Internally, I'm like hemorrhaging. I'm like, this is what the fuck is going on? What's wrong with it? Is this going to be the most expensive bill ever? But on the outside, you've got to be cool, calm, and collected, because I've got no breakdown recovery. My mate, you know, Aled was in bloody, you know, Belgium, so he couldn't come out with his van or anything. So I'm like, I'm back to the way here. But I thought I'd got away with it. And we get to near sort of Shrewsbury Way, Telford Way. And he goes, beep, beep, beep. And April goes, so what does that beeping actually mean? I was like,
because it happens every time you hit the brakes.
Yeah. I was like, and I had to come clean. I was like, yes, and you know, you're red in the face then, aren't you? And you're like, yeah, I think it's broken down. She's like, oh, is it safe? I'm like, fucking hell. I'm like, of course it's safe, you know.
I'm a car guy.
Yeah, it's almost like she's going to get a dad on the phone. Do you know what I mean? And be like, you know, what's wrong with it?
Can you come and pick me up? This thing's not right.
Ben's driving me home in this really dangerous car. It's so embarrassing. Why is he doing that to me? Because there's fuck all wrong with it. It's just some sort of sensor, computer glitch.
Yeah.
You know? Well, I think it might be a turbo actuator, to be honest, but which is just getting a little bit old and it can't actuate. Yeah. So it's flagging it up as an issue, which is a little bit frustrating. But yeah, it's just mugging me off in front of my missus, essentially, isn't it?
So you fixed it now?
No, it's fucked. It's in a million pieces on my lamp, and then the hand. So it's right. So I'm gonna bin it off. Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, it's gonna go. So
I remember how much you liked that car when you first got it.
Listen, I fucking love it. It's one of the best cars I've ever had, but it is also the most unreliable, and I can't have an unreliable car. Partly for this reason as well. We parked outside April's restaurant the other day, and directly outside, you know where it is.
Oh, it's like a little alleyway, isn't it?
Tiny little alleyway, so I'm blocking the entire alleyway.
Yeah.
And then I jump out, give it the parking pass back, jump back in.
Yeah.
Go to release the handbrake. Nada. Nothing. Handbrake will not release. So I've got the hangover from hell because this was on Saturday. It's like, fuck. Why is the fucking handbrake not releasing? I was like, is this a joke? Like, you know, I'm waiting for Jeremy. If Jeremy Beadle wasn't dead, I'd be waiting for him to walk out the corner and be like, we've been messing about with your car. But yeah, so completely knackered. Handbrake won't come off. It's got a manual release by the gear stick, which is a cable that you pull.
Did you have to look at the manual to find that out, or did you know that?
I knew that had a manual release, but I didn't know where it was.
Okay.
So I had a look for that. Found it, doesn't work. You know, the manual releases, I've seen a couple of them, they don't really work a lot of the time with electric handbrakes, because unless the electric handbrake has failed because of an electrical issue, if it's failed for something mechanical, it's not going to fucking work, is it? You know, it's just pulling the cable, manually instead of electrically, but it still goes through the same fucking box and everything. So, didn't work. Car stuck outside. The handbrake's solid as well. Really good handbrake on it, you know. Like, fucking hell. So I did the only thing that I could think to do in that situation. That was put it in 4 low. I just drove it out of there, yeah.
What?
Just drove it out of there. But, you know, got the revs up to sort of 2,500. You could smell the clutch.
In that small alleyway, next to a restaurant.
Midday.
Christmas.
Busy Christmas. People everywhere looking at me going, what the hell? Why is it making that noise? Like, what's going wrong, you know? And like it was just going scraping along, and I'm just like, I have to remove myself and my Land Rover from that location, you know. Yeah. And I could see the staff in the restaurant sort of like looking at me, and then
is that your boyfriend?
Yeah. The manager for the restaurant came out and goes, "Everything okay, Ben?" Well, as I was trying to find the manual release, I was like, "Yeah, fine, yeah, fine. I'm just doing something, yeah, fine." So fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, it is embarrassing.
So that's twice that Land Rover's embarrassed me this week.
And multiple faults.
Multiple faults.
That's interesting, that. Yeah, I had one. I had a Mark III.
No,
yours is a Mark III.
Yeah.
And the thing that went... I had it brand new, but I had it after about 5 years. The compressor... Because, you know, the different suspension height, and you can select it.
That's broken on mine as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when you get in it, start it up, you know, it should go to whatever height. Well, it was always fully down when I got in.
Right, okay, which it shouldn't be.
Yeah. And you started, and then ever so slowly, the front would go up.
Yeah, and then if you're lucky,
the back. Yeah.
You see loads of them on the road. And they look like they've been pinned
on the bump stops.
Yeah, just the bump stops. You're like, suspension.
You should style it out, really. Put the windows down, get your elbow out, slide down in your seat.
Maybe stick some spinners on it or something.
Really loud music. Yeah.
So how many have you had?
One.
So yeah, and full. So how long did you have it? But yours, that was from brand new, you said.
I had brand new, and that happened about 5 years in, I reckon.
Wow.
Something like that. And
but obviously mine's 10, 12 years old. So it's, you know, but she still shouldn't be doing stuff. So the handbrake thing, and it's in a million pieces. all the internal components of the handbrake smashed themselves to pieces.
Oh, what?
So all just snapped springs, the little adjustment levers, everything blown to bits inside the drum.
Was that you driving it in low that did that, or was...
No, that's why it locked on.
Okay.
So I was just driving normally, but then when I finally went to put the handbrake on, it just obviously snapped whatever had snapped in there, and then obviously quite a quick disassemble.
Shit itself. Yeah.
Shit itself. But then obviously me driving it then has chewed everything up, so everything needed replacing. So I'm waiting for the parts from Land Rover, and he said it's going to take, he was like, 4 to 5 days. I was like, what's fucking going on? Like, why is everything? What? Right.
4 to 5 working days.
4 to 5 working days. What happens the next day? Like,
Yeah.
your Land Rover, big dealership in Chester.
I just remembered as well, because so I looked at what the warranty was.
Yeah.
And it was, I think it was a 5-year warranty. Does that make sense? You worked in that world.
No, it won't be a 5-year warranty. They've never done a 5-year. It'll be 3 years. But you might have got
This
extended
might happen
warranty.
like 3, or what?
You might have had an extended warranty.
I think I did have a extended warranty.
Yeah,
and I looked at the date I bought it, and it was something like 3 months inside. I went, yes. So I phoned them up, and I said, I need this to, suspension's not working properly. I think it's the compressor. Can you fix it?
Yeah.
It's under warranty. And looked it up, and they went, no, you're out of warranty. I said,
shit.
no, I think I'm not. I said, I bought it on such and such a date. They went, yeah, but it was registered sort of 8 months before that.
Oh, fuck. So was it brand new when it was like a demo or something like that? Yeah,
It was just it was out of stock. There was 25 miles on it when I got it. But the day that it was registered, the warranty started.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a shitty trick, really.
So they do that. So they advertise, it's a real fucker and they shouldn't do it. You should do it in Volkswagen as well. They'll advertise brand new cars, but they'll be pre-regis, which means they've been registered before. So when you buy that brand new car, you're the second registered keeper. So it is a way of the dealership getting paid for that vehicle, so they can put it on a stocking load, so they can finance it from one place to the other. So when they order a brand new car from Volkswagen or Land Rover, whatever, it'll come to the dealership, and they have a certain amount of time before they have to pay Land Rover for that car, whatever it is. So if that comes and it's not been sold, if it's just been sat in stock, they'll then like pre-reg it and stick it on a different, like a black or stocking finance or something like that.
I thought it was naughty, though, because, something's got 25 miles on it, but like however many months, it's basically been sitting there somewhere. Have you seen these big depots? There's one in Corby where there's just like rows and rows and rows of cars.
I think the worst I've ever seen is 2 years for a car since being built to being registered. So the brand new car that you're buying has been sat in docks, fields, gravel car parks, anywhere for 2 years before it was bought. But that's the worst I've ever seen. The usual was 3 to 6 months.
It's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, unless it was a real desirable car, which I want to get onto later on as well. We need to talk about like what's going on in that sort of world, 'cause it's so fucking interesting at the moment. It's like new stuff that's never happened before is happening at the moment, which is just incredible. I want to drink though. Do you want a pint?
Yeah, I do.
You carry on talking, I'll get pints.
So talking about things going wrong with cars.
Yeah.
Clearly in my job, things go wrong with airplanes. And one of the frustrations for me, so when you rock up at a new job, so when I started as the maintenance test pilot for the Hawk at RF Valley, they smell funny. I don't want to know.
You don't want a Corona?
No, they're weird. They smell like urine.
Oh, it's so good. You sure you don't want
Modelo, please. When I rocked up at Valley, nobody knew me. Like, as in, none of the engineers knew me. So you'd come in and you'd say, "Thank you very much." They'd say, the such and such, it was making this noise, and they'd look at you as if to say, "Yeah, we'll have a look at that and decide ourselves whether that thing is broken or not."
Yeah, that's it.
And it's going, what's this about? Because I've just come from being the Puma maintenance test pilot for 5 years, and I could come in and say, guys, I think it might be the port hydraulic pump or something. They go,
the left aileron is flapping.
Yeah. Is the Anthrax Doppler modulator's fallen off, and they go, we'll fix that right away. So I arranged at this new place, and you just don't have that at all. It's a case of, is it? And they weren't servicemen; they were contracted. They were Babcock engineers.
Right.
So there's none of the, okay, sir, we look at that. There's none of that. Really, mate? We'll have a look.
Yeah.
And so it starts off like that, and there were certain faults that would only happen at altitude. So
interesting, okay.
Yeah.
Like windscreen wipers flapping.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
No, not that. So one of the things you do on a Hawk flight test profile is that you bat along at 5,000 feet straight and level, and then you go into a climb, and then you start the stopwatch and you climb as fast as it'll go up to 40,000 feet, and you just keep climbing. What used to happen with some of them is when you get to 25,000 feet, there's like a step change in vibration, and it scares the shit out of you because it just buzzes along. It's a jet engine. It's smooth. There's a buzzing noise, and then you get to 25,000 feet, and it's just a lot louder all of a sudden and more vibration. So you come back on the throttle and go, holy shit. So in these early days, do that, and then you put in a pan call, which is I'm not about to eject. Mayday is you're about to eject.
Right.
Pan is like I need priority. So you say pan, Victor Yankee Tango 205, engine vibrations, request priority, recovery to valley. And then they'd say, Roger, take up heading, and they clear everything out of the way.
So you can just get to the airstrip as fast as you can.
You don't have to come in via any of the traditional points or anything like that. You can set up to do what's
crow flies almost.
Yeah, straight to it. If you want to come straight in, that's fine. If you want to come in high over the airfield so that there are profiles you can fly, so that if the engine fails, you can still then glide round the corner and get in.
Nice.
But you come in across the end of the runway at 4,000 feet, and you practice these. So so you put out a pan call and they give you priority. The other thing that happens, so everybody else is either it's like out of the way. We've got a pan call, and as soon as you land and touch down, behind you onto the runway comes two crash rescue trucks, and they follow you up the air
in case it sets on fire.
Yeah, because all they know is you've got an emergency and you pull off.
Is pan panic?
No, it's just that's a really good question. What does PAN stand for? It's the same. It's the same in
problem aircraft now.
No, not aircraft, because it's the same in shipping. They use PAN. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So just to get to the end of this, so what would happen is that, and it's like, it feels all right now. And I always flew with an engineer, mostly this one guy, and I said, do you know what? It feels all right. I'm happy to taxi back. Or maybe sometimes I shut down anyway because I didn't know whether it was all right. So you shut down like miles away from the squadron. Then they get a tractor out. Then they tow it back in.
So you're gliding back in?
No. So you've landed. You've rolled down the runway. Pull off so the runway's usable for everybody else. Fire trucks, everything.
Yeah.
Pull off with you. Shut down there to minimise the amount of time the engine's running. Climb.
It's damaging itself.
Climb out. You get a lift back normally with the.
Imagine if there was a limp home mode on the airplane.
I was coming to that. Yeah. No, he's not fast enough to fly.
1,500 RPM only.
Or get a lift back normally with the ambulance because they had like this 4x4 off-road ambulance thing, and the fire guys would hang around just in case it's spontaneously combusted. But the ambulance go, need us anymore? I go, no, can I have a lift? And they go, yeah.
Brilliant.
So when I get in these early days with the engineers, you always do an engineering debrief after you fly an air test anyway. So they stand at the desk and they already know because the aircraft they've been working on for 3 months, and they're like, "What? Yeah, what's wrong with it?"
Yeah.
And you say, "Yeah, so blah blah blah." Started the time climb at 25,000 feet. There was a huge increase in vibration and like the noise. So came back. They're like, "Okay, we'll engine run it." I went, well, what's the point of that?
So that's just static on the ground. Like.
Yeah, I said, what's the point of that? And they went, well, we'll see if we can reproduce it. It's like, well, how are you going to do that at 0 feet when it happens at 25?
Like 8 feet.
Yeah. How are you going to do that? And it's like, well, we'll have a look. We'll have a look. And then they'd run it. And you open, it's a thing called a Form 7.
It probably costs them, because I remember watching Guy Martin building a Spitfire or something like that, and it cost them just to run it on the ground. Wasn't it something like 15 grand?
It probably, well, all the manpower and stuff.
Because of all the people involved and the fuel and everything. It's very, very expensive.
So they'd run it, and the Form 700 isn't a form, it's a book. Right. And all of the engineering history of this airplane's in there. And I'd go into the hangar, and it would be up for an air test the next day. I'd go, wonder what they've done. Pull the book, look inside, and it would say, engine run carried out, NFF, no fault found.
Fucking
and it's like, seriously? So you go in and go, guys, do you think I'm just making this up? And it was really frustrating. It was really so that was the beginning.
Yeah.
I was there 12 years. After a few years, and you get to know the guys, and they know, for some reason, they suddenly go, oh, right, you want them to be serviceable as well. I said, I'm just the last part. So you imagine working on your Discovery, putting it all back together, and then you get a separate guy who comes in because you can't drive it, and he takes it up the road and comes back, and he goes, it's making a funny noise. You're going, what? It's exactly that.
It was making a funny noise.
So in the end, you come back and they're going, it's got a very high pitched whine on the starboard side. I'm not telling you your job, but it's probably the Hyde pump, because you can tell by the frequency and you know how fast things spin.
Right.
And they go,
what is that?
So there are hydraulic pumps.
Yeah.
So all of the controls are hydraulic. There's no sort of string attached. So some of them, sometimes you get this, and if there's a touch point, so if the pump is touching somewhere on the skin, you can feel it on your elbow, or you can actually feel like a very, very high.
Seems Discovery's got a little compressor underneath it, and you can, when you're sitting there running normally, you can hear that come on and off.
Yeah,
which you probably shouldn't be able to. I think it's just old and fucked, isn't it?
Yeah, but you do get to a point with a really good relationship, and it takes years. You can come back, and I got to the point where, because at the time there were 60 Hawk T Mark 1s at RA Valley, and I could come back and go, I don't know what it is, guys, but this isn't right. It's not like the others. It's it's sort of. It's the fact you have to look out the side of the window. I think it's a cut and shut.
It's like you've got to run it on half choke all the time.
All the time.
You can never take full choke off.
Nightmare. I'm literally at junction. You have to keep the throttle in all the time, otherwise it's stalled.
To break with you.
And it's lovely when you get to that point, because then they're going, we'll take a look. If you think there's something wrong, there's something wrong. So,
I mean, that one of the things I love and also hate about working on cars is that. So the thing is, never buy a car off a mechanic. Never buy a car the mechanic has owned, because the mechanic will know exactly what that needs to stay on the road and what it doesn't need. So there's so many cars I've driven, and they're like riddled with serious faults, but I'm like, I know that it will still make it to work and back. It will make it exactly that far and exactly that home again if I do certain things with my feet and my arms. So never buy a car mechanic.
My first car was a Morris 1800, and my stepfather owned his own garage and MOT testing station in Pembrokeshire, and he came with me to look at it. And we were happy with it. I can't remember what it was. It was a couple £100 or something, but it was a second-hand car place.
Yeah.
And he said, it was like a throwaway line, like, it's fine. He said, a lot of filler in that front wing. And the guy went, no, there's no filler there. And he went, well, there is. And the guy went, no, that's solid, that wing. So he went over it and he like leaned hard with his elbow on it, and this whole lump of filler just fell into the wheel arch. And he said, "Yeah, we don't want it." And that's that whole being a mechanic thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But we still keep some cars on the road. Do nice work for other people, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this disco, love its bits, great car. Embarrassed me twice. Fool me once, what's the phrase? How's it go? Fool me once, fool me twice, my fault or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but yes,
something like that. Yeah. Fool me 3 times.
Yes,
I'm
going to sell you.
Yeah,
It can't be that.
So leads me on to next thing is, so I need a reliable tow car because obviously I'm towing cars up and down the country. I'm using it to pull stuff. I'm using it to haul a lot of tools and equipment and parts and just all this cool stuff.
That's a really good point, because it's one thing breaking down.
Yeah.
But if you break down and you've got a trailer with a car on it, that's a nightmare.
Absolutely. And people like RAC and AA, they don't want to deal with people like me. So they don't want to, they'll find an excuse not to come out to me. So if I'm on the side, what they want is your little old lady with a Nissan Micra that the battery's died on, and they can sell her a battery on the side of the road and fit it, and she's on the way. That's what they want. They don't want to come out to someone who's got a fucked old Discovery down in Surrey. He's got to go all the way back up to Chester, and he's towing a fucking Austin Allegro on a trailer, because it's just a ball ache for them, isn't it? They just don't want to do that, and it costs them the most. So for me to get cover for things like that, I can't just go online and get a cover, because by the time you've sort of answered all the questions honestly, it's like, oh, we can't do it, you have to ring. It's like, right, fucking other thing. I'm not going to do that. So what I need is a car that's reliable, right? So, or a car with a warranty. Because another thing about Discovery, it's the time. So it's like this, last month, or November and December, the other day I changed the fuel filter on it, because I thought that might be the limp home mode thing.
Okay.
I just don't want to be doing it. So I'm lying on my back on the concrete, changing this fuel filter. It's up on top of a chassis rail.
Yeah.
It's not that bad of a job, but you've got to take 2 plates off underneath, and then you've got to pull this fuel filter out all while you're lying on the floor. One of the things about fuel filters is they tend to be full of fuel. Diesel, so it was maybe 2 degrees, something like that. Pull this fuel filter out, diesel goes everywhere as it usually does, and then the diesel then is soaking into your hair. It's soaking into your jacket. I put a wash on that night, and I forgot that my jacket was in there covered in diesel. I put some of Mrs.'s clothes in there as well, and the next day she was like, "Oh, what's this washing powder?" And she was like, "Oh," and I grabbed it. It was fucking diesel. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. It's probably diesel off my jacket." But so just shit like that, I just don't want to be doing, man. No. Just don't want to be doing it. And then so many other days that I've had to spend quite a lot of time on this Discovery. So when you add all that together, it's like, right, a new car at X amount a month with a warranty, with all the mod cons. The Discovery doesn't have cruise control. It doesn't have heated seats. Doesn't have any of this, Speaking of being embarrassed, your missus gets in the car and she's like, "Oh, it's cold in here, isn't it?" Like, fuck's sake, what else, So new car on the horizon.
Are you doing it?
So what's going on with the world at the moment, mate? So during COVID, cars were a problem, weren't they? You couldn't get a new car.
Couldn't even get a hire car.
Yeah, nightmare, like real problem. Because of microchips or whatever it is. Who believes that? You know what I mean? It's got to be something else.
Don't start down the conspiracy room.
Sorry. But yeah, so anyway, can't make cars fast enough. But they can, but just not the cars that you want.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So
does that push the price up?
Oh,
if you wanted to be conspiratorial.
Oh, well, it's not conspiracy. It's people are making money off the fact that the cars aren't available. Some people are running businesses off it, and just not being able to supply cars because they put an order in for them so long ago. But the annoying thing for me is that I went on, There's two ways really to buy a car. You go to your dealership
Yeah.
and you walk in and you buy it, it's brand new. Or you go to a car leasing place like Contract Cars or whatever, So went into the dealership first, went into Land Rover in Chester, and I was like, were they trying to get in there?
Yeah, bless them.
There's people outside trying to get in. So we're not even open on Wednesdays. Went to Land Rover in Chester,
Mm-hmm.
walked in, I'm like, fucking hell. I'm a salesman's dream today because I'm ready to buy a car.
Yes.
This salesman.
You lived in that world.
I did it for 7 years. And I'm like, I'm just, I was the dream customer because I've done it before. I know, I don't want any of the bullshit. I'm not going to give him a hard time.
Yeah.
I know exactly. I'm just like, yeah, I'm dream customer for some salesman. So Dominic comes out, yeah, good old Dominic.
Good old Dom.
Good old Dominic. Like he comes out and he's like, hey, so how's it going? And so I'm like, great, mate. So I've got this Discovery parked out there. I need to part exchange that for a new Defender because I'm going away in January. So I need a reliable car for that. And he laughs.
How rude.
And I was like, fucking hell. What are you laughing for? Like, what's going on? And he goes, well, you're not going to get one for January. And I was like, you don't even know what I'm asking for. There's 4 Defenders there. I'm looking at now. Like, what? And he was like, yeah. I mean, he's like, so what was it you're after? And he was like, so I was like, because I was in
It's quite annoying, that, isn't it?
Well, so
did it wind you up?
Yeah, it did. But fair play to him, he'd read me first. Like,
okay.
I was in all my work gear. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I said I want a 90, which is a 3-door model, not the 110. So I want a 90 commercial, and I want it as like an SE with the black pack and a tow pack. That's what I want. They're dead simple. That's how a lot of them are made. There's tons of them about that people have already bought. So I go, that's what I want. And he's just like, shaking his head the whole time. Every word that comes out of my mouth, he's just shaking his head. And I'm like, fuck it. So I'm like, is it what? He goes, you're looking at least 4 to 6 months. And I'm like, there's nothing in the country. And he's like, well, no, it doesn't work like that. It's just our dealerships. He's Inchcape. I was like, I worked for Inchcape for 2 years. We could get any car from any dealer as long as we traded something. It was just a trade-off. That's just how it works. Dealers want to sell cars. They don't want to sit on stock. So he's like, no, there's nothing. And I'm like, have you got like a grey one or something? He's like, no, there's no 90 commercial Defenders. And I'm like, right, okay. So I can't buy a car from you. And he's like, no, you can, but I just have to. But you can either buy one of these here, which are like 110 HSEs, £90,000.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, lovely, mate. I'm sure you can sell that really easy to the next person that comes in. But I don't want that. I want the fucking cheaper one. So like, I'm like, and that's what I need. Like anything. And he's like, no. So I'm like, you can't sell me a car. And he's like, not today, unless you want to do a factory order, which is going to be 4 to 6 months. Fucking hell. So anyway, I leave there and I'm a bit disheartened with the whole thing. And I'm like, right, I'm going to go and see my mates at Contract Cars because they're a big leasing company, contract hire place. So I'm like, I'm going to try and get one from those guys because they'll surely have stock or be able to pull stock from somewhere. So I go on their website and they've got this wicked deal, right? That you can get, and they're advertising it 90 commercial, yeah, cheap payment, right? Cheap with 24-month contract. I'm like, fucking hell, this is exactly what I wanted. This is perfect. So ring him up, speak to Luke, great guy. Luke, I want a 90 commercial Defender. He's like, fucking great stuff, mate. Yeah, no problem. You're going to be looking at about 12 months. Fucking hell. I'm like, I'm speechless at this point. I'm like, the first 30 seconds of the phone call, and I'm like, right, okay, so I was like, I need a car for January the 2nd, and he just laughs, yeah? And I'm like, fucking hell. I was just like, right. So I was just like, mate, come on, you need to give me some info here. Like, and I told him, obviously, my background and stuff. I was like, what's going on? He's just like, mate, if you want a Renault Clio, if you want a Vauxhall Astra, if you want something like a 1 Series BMW, there's tons of them about. There's loads of them. If you want anything that anybody wants,
yeah,
there isn't any. There's no cars. I was like, why? So a factory order at Volkswagen from the minute you press the button to the minute the car gets delivered by the transporter was 3 months. Sometimes less than that if you had a car halfway through build and you could change the spec on it. So 3 months it took to make a car. So why is it taking 12 months to build a Land Rover, Defender commercial? Hasn't even got rear seats. Can't take that long.
I know, exactly.
And so he just couldn't tell me. It was just like, I just don't know. It's just there's no cars about it. It's just they're so in demand because of the deals and stuff. And I'm like, I'm stood here. I need to buy a car. That's the car I want. And he's like, we might have some Ford Rangers coming in March. I'm like, fucking hell. It's just an absolute nightmare. And a lot of it's coming down to the deals and the benefits of buying brand new cars, especially as a commercial. So for me, one of the reasons why I needed a commercial was because of the VAT, so I can put it through the business and then claim 20% back on everything, and the business, it can come out the business account, all this sort of stuff, which would be great. So a lot of people are doing that apparently, and it's having this weird effect on the second-hand car market, yeah, which I've never seen before.
Go on.
It's pretty unprecedented. So the Porsche Taycan.
Yeah.
Have you seen what's going on with that?
No.
Brilliant. So this Porsche Taycan is a £100,000 to £140,000 electric car. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a normal car with you pay. So if I wanted a 90 Defender commercial, it would cost me roughly £3,000 a year in tax in terms of benefit in kind. For I have to pay that.
Yeah.
Electric car is zero, or I think it's very, very small. It's almost nothing for an electric car because the government wants people to buy electric cars.
Yeah.
So these Taycans ended up being a £140,000 car that ended up actually being really cheap. Like incredibly cheap for a fucking £100,000 Porsche.
What you mean when you lease it?
Exactly. So when you contract hire it or lease it, it ends up being such a good deal. You just can't turn it down because Porsche are giving incredibly good low rate deals because they want to shift them. Porsche want to stick as many as they can out in the market. So that was 2 years ago when they were 2 or 3 years ago when they were new. They were exciting new things and they were the best things. All those adverts of them being as fast and incredible.
Yeah.
And they are good cars if you only need to go 150 miles. we're not talking about that. Yeah, we're not talking about that. So great cars.
Yeah.
But, so they pumped tons of them out, yeah? Because all these deals were incredible. Similar to what's happening with the 90 commercials, these Defenders and stuff, but not quite the same because it's, So everybody's buying these brand new things on these deals, and these Taycans are bombing in the second-hand market. And the depreciation is stuff that you'd only usually see in the past of like £150,000 Aston Martins and stuff.
Yeah.
Like real crazy cars. But now you've got like Jaguar I-Pace, you've got the Porsche Taycan, you've got all these ones these electric cars that are so good to buy new that you can't really buying them secondhand is just nobody you wouldn't dream of buying one secondhand.
Have you got examples of the numbers? Have you got roughly? Oh, you can't.
No, I can tell you exactly. So 2 years old, 20,000 mile Taycan, or 2 years old, 40,000 mile Taycan. There's Auto Trader for like 49,000, 49,500. There's people doing big people in the motor trade doing a lot of videos on this at the moment and talking about a lot of it because it's completely weird. Like it's such a mad thing. And these cars were 120, 140.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So you're losing money, and that's only ever been seen by stuff like Lamborghinis, just Ferrari. But even that.
But the step down obviously is still really expensive.
It's still really expensive.
It's coming into, 49
because
grand.
VAT, 20% off a 200 grand car is a lot of money,
Yeah.
But and it's not just the depreciation; it's the fact that they're still not selling. So on Auto Trader at the moment, there's something like 600 Porsche Taycans, which is mental for essentially what could be construed as like a supercar. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If you're looking at Ford or Aston Martin, there might be 5, 10 on Auto Trader.
Yeah.
But Porsche Taycan 600.
Are you tempted?
Well, you'd never buy one second hand. And I need it as a commercial, obviously, for towing and stuff like that. But you'd never buy one second hand. So unless you were a very, very specific buyer.
Yeah.
If you had the money, So if you just had cash, because buying it on finance, just the interest, you just might as well go and buy a new one. So if you just had cash to buy one, it's a very attractive buy. It'd be a great thing to just go out and, if you wanted it, say if you had retired and you wanted a car just to sort of get about in, what an incredible purchase.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you've got none of the depreciation, you've got all of the car pretty much.
Yeah.
The only thing that you haven't got is the warranties running out in a year.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And some of the big stuff for the Porsches at the moment, all stuff like the heaters and things like that, I'd be terrified of owning a Porsche taken out of warranty. But it's the same with anything, especially Jag I-Pace would be even worse. 'Cause I had the E-Pace and it was back at the fucking dealership every 2 minutes.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was awful. Probably the second most unreliable I've ever owned, and it's a Jaguar Land Rover product.
You're talking about breaking down. I just remembered about when I was extremely poor, first marriage, 2 children. Not extremely poor. I was a pilot in the RAF, but I had this Citroen ZX.
Oh God! Now we're talking. What a car!
And it had already been to Longleat, and I had all the wipers and trim ripped off by monkeys.
Fucking love it. Let them have it.
And it broke down. But I'm
just reminded me of something we talked about with Longleat as well. But carry on.
Okay. I had breakdown recovery with, I think it was National Breakdown, and they went on to be called Green Flag.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a deal where if you broke down more than a mile from your home address, they take you to a garage of your choice.
Nice.
And it was like a Sunday. I phoned my stepfather and I said, it's broken down. And he went, okay, do you want me to come
back? Broke down?
Yeah.
Must have been something new.
Probably there was water pouring into the passenger footwell from somewhere, and and it was anyway. It broke down, all sorts of lights on, and I thought I said, will you fix it? He said, of course I'll fix it. But he said, I really haven't got time to come and get it. So I was in Oxfordshire. His garage is in Pembrokeshire. Sort of like 3 hours drive.
Yeah.
But as long as you are a mile from your house, they'll take it wherever you want. Yeah. So it's Sunday afternoon, and I think, right, let's get this sorted now. So I sort of drove it like a few hundred yards, then wait for it to cool down, and then drove it there. Got it down into the village, not far from RAF Benson. Benson Village, in fact. It's about 1.5 miles away from my house. Phoned National Breakdown. Guy comes out and he said, I'm going to have to load this and take it somewhere. He said, where do you want to take it? And I said, here's the address. And
this bloke was in the middle of his Sunday dinner.
Yes.
His phone.
I feel so bad. It just didn't bother me at all at the time. This is about 1997.
Yeah.
And he said, where's this? And I said, it's Pembrokeshire. He said, where's Pembrokeshire?
Yeah, which would have been I would have said as well.
I said, it's...
sounds like Scotland.
Right close to Tenby. So it's about 3.5, probably 4 hours in this. And he went, right, okay. He went...
Let me just phone the missus. And tell her not to bother.
And he went, he said, and then he said to me, all right. He said, well, come on then. We'll stop somewhere halfway for somewhere to eat, mate. I went, I'm not going with you. We.
Fuck
yeah. No, I'm not coming. I do feel for him.
So he took it.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I think you'll find where it's...
Amazing. So I had a similar thing. So me and my mate Al went down to Southampton or something like that to buy a Citroen AX GT.
Right.
Oh, Citroen broke down again. Weird.
Funny that.
Yeah, weird. Overheated as well, actually. So anyway, we went down in his Saxo VTR. So we go down there in his Saxo. We see this Citroen AX. It's an X-Rally car. So it's like real fucking miserable inside, like, nothing, just a bucket seat and metal. So I was like, buy it, fucking buy it. Look how cool it is. So he buys it. We get maybe 3-4 miles down the road, just overheats his fucking head off. Just really just like
Clearly sold us scene.
Sold us scene. Nothing we could do about it. I'm just like, fucking hell. So obviously we've driven all the way from here down to Southampton, so it's getting on in the day. So like, fucking hell. So pull over. We're like, what are we going to do? And he's like, I've got breakdown insurance, but it's for me, not for the car. I was like, fuck, that's cool, isn't it? Fucking great. So breakdown truck comes. He goes, we need the car to go to it must have been a piss take this, just thinking about it.
Yeah.
He said, we need the car to go back to North Wales, to like Colwyn Bay. The driver was like, fucking hell. Like, okay, so he loads a Citroen X onto the transporter. And then he because I was driving the Citroen X because I had insurance on it.
Yeah.
Because of my trade insurance, and Al was in the Saxo. And he says, he looks at me and goes, right, you're going to have to jump in with me then. And I was like, why? I'll go in the Saxo behind, like with my mate. And he says, no, one of you needs to come with me. Thinking about it now, that sounds like a piss take, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
He says, one of you needs to come with me. And I looked at Al because we were going out for his car, and I just held my hand out for his keys for his Saxo. And Al, was the shyest bloke you'd ever met in your life. He's such a shy lad, just didn't say anything to anybody any of the time, like proper shy lad. And I was just like, give me fucking keys now. I'm not going in that truck. It's your fucking car. So I drove his Saxo back, following behind this truck at like 55 mile an hour, all the way back to Colwyn Bay.
Singing with the radio on.
Just having a whale of a time, and sometimes I'd stop.
Like this in the cab looking at this bloke.
Stop, get some sweets or something, and then just catch him back up again. And just and he was in there so fucking miserable. So fucking miserable. That truck the whole time has been saying like 2 words to each other. So awkward. Like 4 hours. But anyway, hilarious.
Thinking about so I will say this, don't I? But about helicopters, airplanes, cars, they're just machines. So things go wrong. So with the Puma helicopter at Benson, that's why I was there. After maintenance on that, I had one. This was quite a scary one, actually. So it had come out of maintenance. The thing with a helicopter, you do loads of ground running because you spin the rotors and the tail rotor. Obviously, they
like on a hot day, nice to cool you down.
That's what it's for. Yeah, clearly. And you can tell a lot about how it's going to be, because effectively the rotor blades, well, they are wings, and you can tell how it's all going, and you can also lift to a hover, and just sitting in the hover you go, yeah, it feels pretty good actually, all that sort of stuff. And then you progress to moving forward quite slowly, 20 knots or something like that, and then it goes all the way up. Do it like 160 knots. It's an amazing helicopter, beautiful thing to fly. So then you get to the point you do the full air test profile, and you go out round Oxfordshire, and I was up north of the M40.
Can you do like a barrel roll in a helicopter?
You can in some of them, like a Lynx, and that's to do with the fact that you need a fixed head. So there's all sorts of the different ways to attach the rotor blades to the head, the sort of bit that spins on the top.
Right.
The bit with the Jesus nut on. So there's normally like one major nut on the top, and if that comes off, it's like Jesus. So with the Lynx, the way that the rotor blades are attached to the head, don't ask me to explain specifically, but they're rigid. So when you see a Lynx, there are some in service still actually. They're called Wildcats now with the Navy. But anyway, when they sit on the ground, the blades just stick straight out like that. They're really
rigid wings.
Really rigid. Most of them they flop down, and it's not just the flop of the blade; it's the way they're attached. So all that sort of stuff. So it would be that you couldn't really do it in a Puma. But if
it's like solid, you could.
Yeah. So Lynx, there's a BK 105, a Bolko 105, and there's a Red Bull, one of those, flown by some nutter German bloke, and the stuff he does in that is unbelievable. There's loops and all sorts of shit. Yeah. Anyway, so got up north of the M40 in this thing, went to sort of turn left, and it felt like
following the motorway.
No, it's just that the profile took us out of Benson North, and one of the things was the first things you come to up that way is the M40.
So it's easy to just fucking stick on that, like, or
No, sort of like crossing it that way, 90 degrees, and crossing the M40, and used to do that in the horrible weather. It's sort of in Northern Ireland, so you're down in the weeds. Although you got all this nav kit, you just think, oh yeah, there's that road.
Yeah,
and start to turn left, and it just felt like everything was like stiffening up.
Yeah.
It just felt stiffer than normal. Just with the cycling as I went left, and then when I come to straighten up again, it was like instead of it just moving nice and smoothly, it felt like it was in custard.
Right.
And then I thought, well, that doesn't feel right. And so moved to the right, and it felt even stiffer. And then I had this sudden thought that if this locks, then it's like game over, you know. So it's the crewman said I could tell something was wrong because you stopped speaking, and I didn't think I'd stopped speaking, but I was obviously
in cars. If you're with a passenger and you're just fucking chatting away, and all of a sudden, shut up.
Hang on a minute.
Shut up. And he did from the back of the car.
And he said, "What are you doing?" And I went, "We're landing in this field."
What?
And he said, "What?" I said, "We're landing in the field." So put the wheels down, and because I had a retractable undercarriage, and
haven't we all?
And it was just like so good to get on the ground. It was so good
because over, like
honestly, yeah. Because it was just I had. Whether it would have locked, I don't know, but it was some filter that wasn't filtering, and the like in the high, yeah. But it felt horrible because as soon as that little thing went in my head, if this locks, it's good night Vienna. You know, it's all over because you can't control where you're going. So so that
just carried on.
So they sent out a load of engineers, and
to the field.
Yeah. So does
the farmer get compensation?
No, there's no.
Because if you've like destroyed his fucking ground,
how have you destroyed it? It's just like
you can't fucking.
It's got wheel marks.
Is that it?
That's it. It's like,
just like sorry, mate. See you later.
In fact, they normally come out and go, "Hello."
Fucking. Oh, I would as well.
Yeah.
I'd be like, fucking take the whole field out a week.
Yeah.
Can I have a look round?
Come on.
Can you show me how it works?
Come and go.
Take me out of it.
But that one in particular, the engineers, I always sing their praises because they're incredible. They're so good. That one, I just had a horrible feeling about it, and they flushed the system, all the sort of stuff. They said yes, it's fine, and the engineering boss guy, the wing commander, came over and he said, "Yeah, it's all good now." And I said, "How do you know?"
Yeah,
and because you can't move the cyclist like that on the ground, it'll fall over. So you can only fly when you're flying. He said no. He said honestly. I went okay. That's good. I said you're flying back with me.
Yeah.
And he said what? What? And he said all right then. But I made him fly back with me. I thought, you're going to die too then.
Yeah, fucking right.
But actually, it was absolutely fine. Yeah.
Brilliant. It's great fun, isn't it? Why don't they have bigger helicopters in the sky that if you've got a problem, similar to the AA?
Oh, no, here we go.
Or the RAC, but you could call it there's something to do with flying.
Yeah.
That you, say that happens to you and you're right up in the sky.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like, right, stop, and you're just hovering. So you're not moving at all, not moving anything. You're just fucking maintaining where you are.
Right.
Get on the phone.
Yeah.
Pan or something.
Oh, you were listening.
So they send out the big fucking Iveco helicopter, yeah?
Yeah,
like with a flatbed on the back.
Yeah.
And they go underneath you.
Yeah.
And you switch everything off, and you just land on there. Maybe bloke comes out with some sort of straps.
And a cheese sandwich.
Climbs round the thing, straps the helicopter down, and then he flies both helicopters back to base. Why doesn't that exist? Because surely that would be so much safer.
Well, first of all, if something's going wrong, why would you stay hovering? You need
because that was what you said.
Get on the ground
with turning.
Yeah, but
if you couldn't land? What if you were above a school, an orphanage, a hospital? You couldn't get down.
big, isn't it?
Big school, orphanage, hospital, all in one building.
Yeah.
And it's a cattery as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and a dog kennels.
And a doggery, where people are dogging. So where I can't envisage this machine that is so big.
It's simple.
So it's got
It doesn't have to be that big.
doesn't it?
It's essentially 2 helicopters.
Oh, 2 helicopters
with a flatbed in the middle.
like
But it's not 2 helicopters. It's only like one.
So like a Chinook, but it's really stretched.
Stretched, which I'm sure they could develop. The Russians have probably already made one.
A recovery helicopter.
Recovery helicopter. And you could use it for planes as long as the helicopter could go fast enough. So you'd slow down together. So if I demonstrate it for the camera.
Yeah.
So plane's going along, helicopter comes up.
Yeah.
Like that. You slam brakes on. Like the Italian job when they drove into the back of a bus.
I knew you were thinking about a car driving into a lorry. I knew it.
Yeah. And again, be a great idea for some sort of RAC. Because then you wouldn't have to close the fucking motorway.
So first of all,
the
reason the helicopter couldn't go as fast as an airplane is you wouldn't need airplanes, would you? So there's a limiting speed to a helicopter. And
to go forwards.
Going forwards. So, and the problem is, if you imagine flying towards you, this rotor blade, and so if you're listening to this, the right hand, I'm sort of swinging my arm forward. That's coming into the wind. So in the hover, all of the rotor blades are going. They feel like they're going the same speed through the air. As soon as you go 10 knots forward, this one is gaining 10 knots, but the one going back is losing 10 knots.
No, the other way around. If you're coming into the wind, it's losing 10 knots, isn't it?
No, you're gaining because you've got it's coming forward. If it's 0, they're all going. The wind effect is nil.
Yeah.
As soon as you move forward, you've got an extra 10 knots at the one coming forwards, and then as it's coming back the other way, it's losing 10 knots. If you keep going faster and faster and faster and faster,
like the wind speed or whatever, or you're moving through the air.
Yeah, and then eventually you get a thing called retreating blade stall, and it just rolls into, because you just can't get enough lift on that. It can't go fast enough. The rotor RPM can't be fast enough to create lift. Yeah,
as fast as you're going forward.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, that's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's the limiting speed. So I think a Lynx still holds the world record as 250. It's a lot, but a lot of that is to do with the amazing rotor RPM. They looked at something.
Just slap a turbo.
Yeah. Well, what they looked at, the turbo idea, was having 2-jet engines and having very thick, fat, stubby rotor blades. Yeah. And actually, when it gets to that point, they actually slow them down again.
So they almost become
and then you can stop it altogether. And then it's got like 4 wings, but didn't develop it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
And what is in existence is a tilt rotor, which the Americans use.
Yeah, so instead of being just flat like that, it moves like that. Is that right?
Yeah, so it looks like a Chinook, but instead of it being forward and aft, the 2 rotors, so the cockpit's in the middle. There's a wing left and right with 2 big rotor blades.
Yeah,
it goes up and maneuvers like a helicopter, but as you go in forward flight, they come forward into 2 massive normal. It looks like an airplane.
That's
clever, isn't it?
Very, very clever. Let's have a go at one of those.
Yeah.
Would I?
Would you?
I'm not sure. Sounds like it could go fucking
quite quickly.
Don't push them forward.
Yeah.
Look at that wall. Interesting. Mad about the take-ons, wasn't it? I wonder what's going to happen there if you've got a load of these things flooding the market. How cheap can cars get? You know?
Is there a point at which you can't ignore it and just go, "Oh, I'd have one of those"?
But is there a point where they become worthless?
Oh,
is the interesting,
especially as these.
It's not just a take-on. So take like a.
I was going to say, is there something else that fits the same bracket?
So like there's some cars that just can't, like a Nissan Leaf the mileage has dropped so bad on it because of just battery degradation. Because it's one of the older electric cars that have been around for so long.
Yeah.
That you can only do like 30 miles off a full charge. So is there any point that they're going to get sat and it's like, so if that's, you can carry on forever, but you just can't with that. So is there any point, what's going to happen? Because they're making all these cars now. The market's being flooded with them on lease deals. You see Teslas fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Everybody's rushing out to buy these electric cars. All the manufacturers are doing them. Is there going to be a point where there's just so many that nobody's going to want to buy? And how cheap are they going to be? Could you have a little run around as an electric car for pennies?
Yeah.
Pick one up for $5,000 or something.
Hang slack, you might have a Cybertruck.
Well, I think, this is the thing. There's some stuff. Because there's stuff that's like, we're saying you can't get a Defender.
Yeah.
Can't get a Cybertruck. You can't get anything like, like that. Because there's a lot of stuff that's driven by demand, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like Instagram and stuff like that. I think, Defender's a similar sort of case because, like, the guy was telling me from Contract Guys, like, if you want a car that nobody wants, there's loads of them. If you want a car that anybody wants, there isn't any.
It's wacky, that thing, though, isn't it? It looks like something
weird.
from Blade Runner.
Do you like it?
I hated it, and then you see them more and more and more, and then they made a black one. I thought, oh, that's interesting.
Wow.
Have you seen the black one?
No, I've not seen the black one. No,
looks better than the silver, but it's still odd.
So odd, but like, I love the creativity behind it.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that they've gone so weird with it. It does look like something off Blade Runner.
So weird.
It's completely, but it's like they've gone so far out of the realms of the norm.
Yeah.
And all the problems they had with, so from a VBR perspective, vehicle body repair, having a car made entirely of perfectly flat panels is a fucking nightmare. Absolute nightmare, especially because they're not painted stainless steel. So hard to manage that. If you get a tiny little trolley ding in any of those panels, it's going to stand out an absolute mile. There's just no hiding it. And if any of your panel gaps are slightly, because that's one of the reasons why they've taken so long to come out, is because they had pure panel gap problems, and because all the panels are such perfect lines, you can just spot them a mile off. It just looks horrendous. But I think they've solved a lot of that now.
Isn't it bulletproof or something?
But yeah, people have been kicking them and all sorts, and they're just absolutely fine. Like, it's just bizarre. It's such a bizarre thing. A cool thing, but it's just like they've overcome so much to create that for no need.
Yeah,
they didn't have to at all, but they have, and I just find that fantastic.
Well, when you look at what he's doing with SpaceX, it's not surprised they would.
Have you seen the humanoid robot things that he's making? His latest ones, just fucking, like Boston Dynamics.
I was going to say I've seen Boston Dynamics.
Yeah, so he's now catching up and potentially going to completely overtake them. But his robot looks like something off Blade Runner, and it's a real person. And it's the same size and everything. It can pick up an egg.
Amazing.
Just all this mad shit. But so I listened to him talking about Elon Musk on a podcast a while ago, and he was telling you that soon, if you're like a OAP or something, you do need a bit of help and things like that, or some company and stuff. It can just be like another person in your house.
Amazing.
You know what I mean?
What about when it goes rogue? That's the film.
This is the problem, isn't it? So he's always said as well, hasn't he, that he tried to do like to do climate summits and all this sort of stuff. He tried to do like an AI summit, but nobody took him seriously. So he's saying, like, we're going to continue making these robots that learn on their own. And if you don't legislate us, we're just going to carry on. It's up to you to legislate us,
Really interesting.
So, if he makes stuff that so these robots, one of the different things between them and Boston Dynamics is that he designed these robots to learn themselves, so to learn new things to do themselves. So if he got really good at it, imagine one day it was like, it just thought, oh, that's a person committing a crime, I'm going to go and stop them. And it wasn't. And it was just like...
Seen Robocop.
Yeah. Imagine it. It's such a...
Do you ever feel sorry for the robots? In Boston Dynamics, when they push them over?
And kick them and stuff. And do you not think they're going to fucking remember that?
So
First person they're going to go for.
So the New York Fire Department had one of these things.
Yes.
Did you read about this?
No, go on.
Brilliant. So they had one of these robots to go into burning buildings.
Yeah.
And they painted it like a Dalmatian. That whole thing about fire departments, ladder 49, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And they used to have Dalmatians, back at 1900 and something.
Right.
And so they painted it to look like a Dalmatian. But as a result, they wouldn't send it into burning buildings. It like gave it a name and everything. And they were talking about the psychology of it.
And you can't give anything. It's giving something a name's a problem, like, you know.
And the US Army has mine detection ones, and it's got 4 legs, but it can operate still with 2, as long as 2 are in the front or 2 at the back. It can drag it and still find mines.
Nice.
They had a live exercise with real mines.
Yeah.
One of the legs was blown off this thing, and the major in charge called a halt because his men were like going crazy because watching the thing drag itself across the mine.
That's fucking isn't it?
Really interesting. It's like it's a machine.
Yeah. So, but we have a connection, don't we, to machines? So I can imagine if we are going to use robots for this sort of stuff, it's going to get like, because sometimes
attached to it.
When you hit a pothole too hard and you can't,
I hate that.
You're like, and your car makes a hell of a noise. And you're like, fuck it, especially if it's a car you really like. And
yeah,
like,
hate that.
So, guy, imagine if you got mental. You're walking around your house doing stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine if you say to it, can I have, can you make me some fried rice or something like this? And this robot starts making fried rice and gets to you and like, where's the fucking egg? And it's like, sorry, sir, I didn't put any egg in your fried rice. You just asked me for fried rice and then you fucking batter it or something. and then
ironic, seeing as you didn't have an egg. But see what you did there.
And then it's like, and then because you're battering it, it decides it doesn't want you to do that, and it stops you. But it stops you with a little bit too much force.
Yeah,
breaks your arm.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden it radios its mate next door and goes, "Do you know you can make them stop?" All you have to do is break their arm.
Do you know what?
And that radios its mate, and then they radio their mates, and all of a sudden the robots are fucking coming for us.
They can be annoying and I've seen it in real life because it's in Chester. Those talking bins. Do they do? So if you haven't got, we've got talking bins in Chester, and when you put something in it, it says in a really annoying American accent, "Thank you for using me."
Yeah.
It just winds me up.
It's so bad, isn't it? It's so embarrassing as well because, like,
why is it an American accent?
Yeah, and littering's not cool, but like being thanked for putting stuff in the bin is less cool.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Makes you want to chuck it on the floor next to the bin.
100%, absolutely, yeah. And if you walk around trying to be dead fucking cool with a bird and all that, and it's like, yeah, it's just fucking great, isn't it? And there's nothing fucking dorkier than putting something in a bin that says thank you.
It's the way he says it. It's so subservient.
I want to do it like someone out of Greece in the 60s. I just want to kick it into a waste basket. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want to do. I don't want to put it into a fucking robot bin. It's so shit.
I don't understand.
Who's it for?
I don't know.
Kids, maybe?
Well, the council obviously thought they were clever. I mean, they're clever bins because they self-compact, don't they? They say, ooh, it says, "I am just adjusting my load," or something. I don't know. That can't be right, but something like that. And you hear it, and it pushes down so you can get a load more in. So that's all very clever. Yeah. But the "thank you for using me" is so annoying. Why is it an American accent? Yeah. That's the easiest thing in the world to program, isn't it? It's like, thanks for keeping Chester clean. And I can do the voice for them if they want.
What else could it do? What else could imagine if you put something in it and goes, "You ate that all yourself."
Or it makes a gagging noise.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so full.
Put like your kid's nappy in, and it's like, your child is dying. What the fuck? Why is that?
Yeah, that could be much more fun. Yeah, so the robot overlords.
It's going to be fascinating to see where we are in 20 years' time, in 5 years' time, in 50 years' time. Like 200, it's mental to know like where we're heading. It's so crazy. And is it better or is it worse? So to loop it back round to
another beer.
Yes, please.
My round.
I've just written them down on there, by the way. So in terms of can I have a Corona again?
Yeah.
Land Rover. So I was taking the back brakes off, right?
Yeah.
And one of the nuts that holds the caliper carrier is a 8 spline. So it's
yes.
not a hexagon. You can't fit a normal socket over it. You have to put like either a special Land Rover socket or just a normal, multi-spline socket. So I'm doing that at the time, and I had to go back to the tour. I said, get another fucking thing. And I thought, for the last 60 years, have Land Rover been going, fucking hell, these hexagon bolts, they're a fucking nightmare. Like, an absolute nightmare. They're just not working. And one day someone's gone, they're making it, they've gone, because all the other bolts around it to do everything else on that caliber, all the brake system, all the hexagon bolts. So at one point they've gone, that bolt there, we need to change that to a multi spline or whatever you call it.
What is the advantage? Do you get more purchase, as in more faces, I guess, getting pressure on them? Really?
But then why not make them all like that? If why just it's just so bizarre. Those 2 bolts on it were those. And I just thought, it's such a. I hate progress when it's stuff like that.
Yeah, when it's stuff like that, because it's not really progress.
It's not. So the handbrakes on Land Rover has traditionally always been a big drum on the driveline. So where you transfer boxes and everything, there's a big drum there, and it's got a couple of big shoes in it, and they just can't possibly fail. They just can't. They just, because it's right on the axle, they're fucking brilliant. Granted, they're maybe not as efficient, not as you have to, whatever. But they've changed to have these drums inside the disc. So you've got disc brakes on the outside, drum inside the middle that just does the handbrake. Loads of technicality with it. These massive cables that go into this like huge motor that moves the cables in and out, that's got like shit gears in it, and they strip, and just like when it's new and the engineer shows his boss, and his boss goes, fuck, that's an amazing system you've made. That's fantastic.
Well done, Colin.
Yeah, lasts 3 years. You know what I mean? And then there's so many things in that chain that could break. There's a bloke 50 years ago invented a system where you pull a lever, it pulls on a cable, and it pushes 2 shoes out onto a drum. Why have we gone from there to where we are now? And what's the reason behind it? How have they justified? Because I was thinking it can't really be weight, because they're probably weighs probably the same amount. Is it space underneath? Is it
performance? Can you park on a 45-degree slope with a drum? Yeah, so it'll be performance, surely.
Yeah, I mean, it can probably hold it better on the to us than just a drum. But again, not necessarily, because it's still exactly the same. It's still shoes pushing against a drum. So it's to say it just depends on how well they're sort of serviced and all that sort of stuff. But the difference in servicing the drums is fucking a lot easier. Adjusting everything. It's just like you just go and do the thing. Whereas with these, you've got to strip half the fucking car down to get in there. Because it's just about, and then they fail, and then it's electrics, and then when you can't do it, and then the lever inside doesn't work, you've got to take half your dashboard apart. It's just bizarre. And then put a different bolt on it. Progress.
A lot of internal sort of trim things, or those little star head things. Well, I've fallen foul of that before. I've only got a flathead or a Phillips.
Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can get a flathead that just fits, but not often. Torx bits.
Talking about you saying that diesel filter, and you get your arm up round.
Yeah.
So I started off as, not for long, I don't pretend to be an engineer, but working on Vulcan bombers. Remember I was talking about that?
Yeah.
But there was some jobs that you'd have a little hole, you had to get your hand in, and then round the corner, and you couldn't see it. And you could get like a little spanner on it, you can get an eighth of a turn on. I mean,
that's it.
And it's, and you needed 7 elbows to get your...
Yeah, 20 minutes later, you're only halfway down
and then you change arms and start doing it up again. It's an absolute nightmare.
There's so much. So the limp home thing on the disco at the moment, a few things it could be. Quite well, there's fucking tons of stuff it could be. I was hoping it was a turbo actuator, because if you jack it up, take the passenger side front wheel off, there's a heat shield that you can take off, and you can get an inspection camera
into
it and see it, and then you can spray some WD-40, not WD-40, plus gas, whatever you want on it, and grease it up, and hopefully that'll help the actuator move. So I did that, got my inspection camera, it seems to be moving fine, so it's probably not my fault, not the fault on the car that I need to find. But the problem is, if it's anything else, if it's turbo related, you have to take the body off the chassis.
What?
You have to take the body off the chassis, and that is the case to do almost anything. So I couldn't see. I could see maybe 1/8 of the turbo, just like a small bit of the turbo. That's all I can see from the top, from the bottom, for it taking all the under trays off, going in through the side. The only way you can see is
mad.
absolutely crazy. So if you needed, for example, to do exhaust gaskets, you're taking the body off the car, off the chassis. It's insane. It's just such a mad decision, you know. I've had loads of Discovery 1s and Discovery 2s. Fucking bulletproof. You could do anything on the roads. Like, they're just great cars. The engines were superb. And then these, 200, 300 TDIs, so good. And it's TDV6, it's 2.7 Citroen engine that they've wedged into this fucking Land Rover, and there's just no room. You can't do anything. I looked under the bonnet. I was just like, I can't even see the exhaust on this car. I can't even get to it. Everything's in the way.
And how do you begin to take the body off the chassis? Do you need what lifting gear and what?
You do it with a 2-post lift.
Oh, can you?
And
That's mad.
A lot of hours, and just like a lot of tools, and just like a lot of perseverance and a lot of time on your hands, and it's just a real problem. So I remember once I worked for Audi briefly, because they needed help, and they were on the same place as us, owned by the same parent company. And I
know it well.
Yeah, so went in there, did this thing, talking to this couple about a Q7, and they had a Range Rover. So talking to them about this Q7, well, yeah, great. So it's the same with the Range Rovers. If you want to do anything with turbos or anything, body off. So he says, which he shouldn't have probably said because it really affected what I offered him for the car. He said, we think the turbos are going, and we've been to get a quote for it, and you're looking at $4,000. I was like, wow, $4,000. So instantly I was like, we're not going to give you a lot for this because we don't want it to come and fucking bite our arms off here. But when you go and look at it, it's like £4,000 for that job, which that was, let's think now. So that would have been 23, so it's 13 years ago. So now, I would imagine it'd be a lot more. I don't think you'd probably get anyone to do it for that on a Range Rover. Yeah. I think you'd be looking at more like 7.
Bloody hell.
Mental, isn't it?
That's absolutely mental.
Just, it's just, but that's always the thing, the Range Rovers is £100,000 car. So if you can't afford to buy £100,000 car, you can't afford to buy a second-hand one.
Yeah,
because
so true.
Yeah, they still need fixing.
Yeah,
but the problem is, if you can afford to buy £100,000, you get the warranty. Yeah. So it's just it's a mad sort of thing, And again, just very, very interesting. I do find it very interesting, but I find progress interesting to a point where consumers don't want it.
Yeah, consumers, though, that you're talking about engineers. You're not a consumer per se. They don't care about you, do they? When they build a car,
well, it's companies, engineers, or it's all people. They're the people trying to sell the car, build the car, and sell the car. They are doing it what they want. They're not doing what the consumers want. The consumers very much don't want a lot of this stuff that's going on at the moment, and it shows in a lot of the mad, depreciation and stuff of these Taycans and things. It's that there's no sort of, and a lot of other cars as well. Lights have just gone.
Exactly the opposite happened in airplanes. They started to design airplanes for quick turnaround for fixing things.
What do you mean?
So historically, sort of taking an engine out of a Lightning or a Buccaneer or a Phantom or something takes ages. Yeah. When they designed the Tornado, which is now out of service, it's so old, but it was designed so there were 2 points above the engine. So there are a few things you had to sort of electrical connections, fuel pipes, that sort of stuff you had to disconnect. And there are 2 winch points. And once they were pull 2 spigots back, and you just wound these so you could. The 2 engineers are standing on the floor, and you just wind these things down, and this RB199 engine just appears.
Love
but
that.
you could turn it round really quickly,
Nice.
and a lot of the things you need to get at easily, whereas like you pull up a hatch, and there's the stuff you need to see, and all of the fault finding codes, all of the lights, and you had a little like booklet in your pocket, and it would say C9, and you go, oh right, that's the battery charger, something had popped. You swing the nose open, the radome at the front, and you just reset that and put. So it was just they were designed with maintenance in mind as well, and I've no doubt that's the same with Typhoon and now F-35. So because they don't want them on the ground, they want to get them back in the air.
Well,
they're such expensive assets. They need them back in the air.
It's interesting with stuff like touring cars. You see a car, say like a example BMW 3 Series. So the touring car version of that is so far removed from the road car because it's been built by BMW with all these engineers that have decided to make it as quiet, as comfortable, as efficient as as everything they can, and they need to because their bosses have said we need a new one in 3 years' time. So they've gone, fuck. What else can we do to this? Like, it was perfect 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean? What else can we possibly do to this? Oh, I know. Let's change them to fucking X nuts and that's bullshit. So then they give it to these motorsport teams. Motorsport teams will remove everything and they'll space frame everything. So where the engine sits, it's in a cradle that you just sort of unbolts, very, very sort of swiftly, with gearboxes and all the suspension stuff is just so easy to get to. It's all small and it's designed for speed, just change stuff in and out. And in some ways, just make some cars like that just for a bit. Just make some cars like that for a bit. That's why I love stuff like, sounds mad, but like a little Vauxhall Corsa.
Yeah.
When you look underneath a Vauxhall Corsa, one of the brand new Vauxhall Corsas, one of the only cars that don't fuck about with a lot of stuff you don't need. So you look at it and there's no wasted under because they're cheap.
Yeah.
But cheap means that they haven't bothered putting any stupid under trays on anything in the way. They're designed to service dead cheap. It probably costs Vauxhall maybe $4 or $5 to make one. And it's just like there's just nothing to them, and I love that.
It's just a car.
Just a car. But you look underneath my Discovery, or any other things that are under the engine bay, it's like fucking hell.
Yeah, well, you lift the bonnet on a modern.
It's like your Merc.
Yeah, it's just all plastic.
Yeah,
with a few pipes coming out for like screen wash. And that.
I've seen the mechanics working in Volkswagen, and they've had someone come in a Touareg or a Phaeton. And they've gone, or even a Passat or a Golf or a Transporter, and they've gone, I've got a rattle in the middle of my dashboard. And this, so I had quite a lot of them with my mates when we just go for a cig and stuff and just chat about what's going on. And these guys would be like, suddenly they just wouldn't be in good moods and stuff. Like, what's that? You're just in the middle of a big dashboard out job, and you'd have a look, and the stuff that they've got to remember where it goes. They can't brake. When you're working on your own car or when it's a really old car and stuff, if you can't get something out, usually you can just fucking pull it hard enough, it'll come out.
Yeah.
You can't do any of that. There's stuff like they give you a certain amount of hours to do a job because you have to take loads of bits off the steering column, take the steering column out so you don't mark anything, don't break anything and all this sort of stuff so you can get something out. So a good example would be on the Amiga that I had to get the heater matrix out. You could either take everything like a dashboard, all this sort of stuff out, and that's how Vauxhall would say to do it, and then you remove it as a unit and all that sort of stuff. Thousands of components you have to touch and move. Or you can remove a few bits, cut a very small piece of the metal from the back that doesn't affect anything. It's only to hold the dashboard in place. It's not structural or anything. Cut this very small bit of metal out, and you can slide it out that way. But you're going to scratch things. You're going to cause a bit. You're going to maybe have to bend a bracket here and there, that sort of stuff. But you can do it like that. And it's just mental to me that these guys, they're just like, fuck, how do I? It's like, is that you think about stuff like the economy and things like that?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
can't be good.
That's not efficient.
It's not efficient.
It's not efficient.
Someone come in, they bought a brand new car, and now they're having to spend maybe 3-4 days' labour, or maybe a week's labour to try and identify it by.
And it's under warranty, so not getting any money for it.
Nobody's getting any money for it. The money's just being sucked up by Volkswagen. Volkswagen have been given the money initially, and now they're paying it back.
You're going to get to a point where somebody's going to come in and they're saying, "I've got a rattle." Oh yeah, where is it? In the dashboard. Yes, a write-off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, this is what I was interested, kind of where I was going with stuff like the takeout and things, the depreciation in cars. Are we going to get to a point like a mobile phone, kind of like a mobile phone, where it's, I suppose there is users of second-hand mobile phones, but where there's no second-hand users. It's a you buy it new, you have it, and then that's it. It's gone. And you get, nobody really
ship them off to another country where they don't care if there's a rattle in the dashboard.
Yeah. So, are we going down that road?
I met a really fascinating guy once we used to go to do our simulators. I think I've spoken about this on the helicopter simulator. We used to do them in Stavanger in Norway.
Yes.
And I talked about being drunk there. And, but I met this amazing guy, British bloke who lived there. And I said, "What do you do for a living?" He said, "Oh, I just do a project every 3 years." Have I told you about this?
No.
He was fascinating. I said, "What do you mean you do a project every 3 years?" He said, "Well, I will do loads of research and work out there is a demand for something." And he said, "I'll find a way to satisfy that demand, spend loads of time setting these two things up so that they can get together, and then I get paid for it." And I said, "What do you mean?" I need to give me an example. He found out that the tire tread requirement in, I want to say Nigeria, but don't quote me on it, in one of the African countries was they don't mind as long as there's a little bit of tread on it. They know that there's rubber. Yeah. That's all they care about. They don't particularly care about there being tread.
Yeah, they don't really tend to have much ice and snow and rain.
They don't. So he realised that what they consider to be a very usable tyre, and they'll just run it down to the threads, versus we take off cars because in Europe.
And someone will say, someone who's got too much money will go, "Oh God, that's absolutely knackered, that tyre,"
and they're fine. And he set up this.
Or I need to change to winter tyres now.
Who does that?
My mate. He's got a X5 and he has a set of winter tyres for it. And I'm like, "Mate, we live in England, it's wet all the time. Just keep a good set of Bridgestone Surrounders on there or something nice, some good wet weather tyres." They fucking change it. Winter tyres are terrible.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't fucking snow.
It doesn't snow.
Every now and then it snows.
Yeah. Or just have socks. So when I go there where it's snowy in the Alps, I bought a set of socks. They only go on the back wheels. Have you seen these? So chains.
Yeah.
So these are nylon socks.
Right.
You can't run them on dry roads. That's the only thing. It's got to be in the snow. So you have to be sort of sliding a bit before you put them on.
Yeah.
You stretch them over the as far as you can over the back wheels, then roll forward and then stretch the other bit on.
Nice.
And they work amazingly well. And apparently, I don't know why, because apparently there's no extra grip than a tyre, but they work. I'll show them to you, but they're amazing.
Nice.
What was I talking about?
Oh, so yeah, Nigerian tyres.
So this guy got together hundreds of thousands of tyres from various places, down to a freighter ship that went to Africa. It took 3 years for him to set up. And he said very little money during those 3 years, very little income, arrives at some dock somewhere on the mainland Africa. As soon as they arrive, he just gets a check within a couple of weeks afterwards. And he said there's so many, he had to physically be there. It's like, "Here's your fucking tyres, pay me." And they're going, "Chung, chung." And he said it's just like a massive amount of money that he can live on for another 3 years while he sits around drinking coffee going, "What should I do now?" Really interesting. Really interesting.
It's interesting, the whole tyres thing, because there's that, it's like a viral clip that I saw a little while ago of I can't remember where it is. It's Middle East somewhere, of the tyre fire.
Oh yeah.
It's like acres and acres and hectares of tyres on fire.
Yeah.
And they can't put them out, they can't do anything, just letting them burn. And yet, you know, we have to fucking make sure you're driving an electric fucking car. It's like, yeah, but what about that? What about that? Fucking hell. And like, you know, this is the thing, you get rid of your old car and the fucking tyres and they go to a place, recycling centre, and they stick them in a container, they go down there and they get set on fire.
Yeah.
It's mental.
It is
the world's mental.
Yeah, it
And
is.
they've got on this big fucking diesel ferry that takes it over there, chugging all the fucking smoke out and stuff. It is crazy.
Makes no sense.
And then, you know, Quick Fit make money by selling you tyres and other items.
I'll get better than a quick fit fitter.
Yeah, and lots of companies do. Taking their advice on things like whether your tyres need replacing is mental.
Don't.
It's just crazy. It's just, but that's just how we operate. Like, it's just how we sort of go through everything, and it's just so weird. Like, you know, it's just because I've seen people changing their tyres and stuff, and my mum's gone like, "Oh, is that okay?" And I'm like, "It's fucking fine." Like, you know, what's what? And there has been opposite occasions where she thought something was fine and it wasn't. But like, you know, it's just like my mate with the winter tyres. I hope he's not listening to this, Leon. If you are, I'm sorry. But fucking hell, man. Honestly, it cost him so much.
Yeah.
You know, to buy these winter tyres, and they do fuck all difference because he lives in Cheadle. And all the roads are gritted. All the roads are gritted. He goes from Cheadle to Manchester City Centre and back in his X5, four-wheel drive X5.
I love it.
And he's like, "Yeah, what do you think of these?" And he sends me his links for tyres. He's like, "Yeah, so I'm thinking of putting these on now that the winter tyres are done in like March or something." And I'm like,
okay,
mate, just give me the money. Because you obviously
you're trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, you obviously don't know what you're doing with it. So just give it to me, you know.
Remember when you were growing up and you used to think your dad knew everything? You know, dads look at things and going, "That's bloody stupid." That. Do you know what they should do? That thing. So
my gospel then as well. You were like, "Oh God."
Okay. So I remember my dad. He's a gamekeeper. Okay, just to put it in perspective. My stepfather had the garage. My dad was a gamekeeper. Lovely man. He said, "You know those airplanes? They're losing thousands of pounds." He said on tyre rubber. I said, "Right." And he said, "Because," he said, you watch them touch the runway and there's a massive pile of smoke.
Yeah.
And he said, "They're just wearing them out. It's stupid." He said, "It's so simple to solve." I'm going, "Right. Go on, Dad." He said, "Little electric motor, spin the wheels up." And he said, "So
fucking genius. It's absolute genius.
Instead of
hit the ground running.
They hit the ground running. What you come to, and I thought,
measure the ground speed.
My dad,
get the calculators to do the work.
My dad is a genius, right? So he had this been in his bonnet for years and years and years.
So you get into the engineering school and you get into that and you're like, by the way, I've got something that might revolutionise.
Fast forward, I'm a pilot, and the one thing that you're always like concerned about is stopping on the runway.
Yeah.
The last thing you want is to hit the runway and feel like you almost accelerate faster. Because
now that you've said that, makes complete sense.
Yeah. But do you see how those two things, like,
you know that big puff of smoke? That's because we've got our foot on the fucking.
You're trying to stop before you end up in the orphanage off the end of the runway.
Jesus Christ, all the
But isn't that really interesting about what it made me think about was...
I was totally sold.
Me too, when I was 8.
Totally sold.
It's such a good idea. Brilliant idea.
Everything.
Yeah.
So everything.
Everything. Every aeroplane there is.
We want to stop.
But what it made me think about was, I wonder how many people sit on their couch going, you know what they need to do.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
people comment on my videos. And it's something like, "Oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, this is how you do that." And I'm just like...
Be nice, they might be listening.
It's true, yeah. Well, I think the ones that comment aren't listening. The ones that, there's a lot of good kinds of people going, "Oh, yeah." But like, some of them, you read the comment and you're like, this is crazy. Why? What do you mean? Why would I do that? Because if I did that, it would set on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would explode.
Yeah.
Or if I did that, I would be blind. Well,
it's that whole, you know what you need to do.
Yeah.
It's that thing.
Well, show me yours first.
Yeah,
you do it.
you
First.
do
You
it.
show me.
You do it.
Send me a link.
Yeah,
I'll watch it. If it works for you, then I'll
I can't do it. Interesting that though, isn't it? That knowledge gap.
Yeah, really is. Bloody hell. Can we have a quick pause so I can just go for a quick slash?
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, Citroen ZXs are dead funny looking things. Incredibly comfortable.
They are. They was really comfortable. They really did. I really did go into Longleat.
Yeah.
And with two little boys, they must have been about 6 and 3. They were mine, by the way. And my wife at the time, wife number 1. Yeah. And went into the bit where there's a big sign saying you can drive through this bit, but it's at your own risk. Watch the monkeys. And I go, no, it'll be fine. And you drive in. They're unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, they
want to fuck shit.
There's like sitting in the corner having a fag going, French car.
Yeah. So, yeah. We got these ZX wipers in stock. I don't think so. Let's go and get some.
Mate, have you still got that pliers I lent you last week? I'm going to need it. And they do all the funny stuff, don't they? They jump on and have a look in through the window.
Yeah, show their arsehole
and then
stuff.
You can see them going like this there's 2 trims that run down the sort of guttering on the roof.
Yeah.
And you could see him like picking at it like that through the sunroof. And he managed to get a finger on it. It's like, and then 2 others will come on. They rip the trim off. They go, oh, there must be one on the other side. And there is. Yeah. I'm starting to want to trundle forward at this point, and the car in front's like laughing and joking, going, oh, look at the monkeys. And I'm thinking, I need to get out of here. Just get the fucking car. This thing's going to be on bricks. It's like driving through Toxteth. And
all you hear is like a buzz go, like a. So you're taking the wheels off?
There's one of them's got a welding mask. And a cutter.
Yeah, big acetylene torch with it, just taking a quarter paddle off. Like.
So both strips, obviously wipers gone.
Yeah.
And rubber around the sunroof gone. And then the car in front moves, and it's like, we want to see the monkeys. Yeah, we've seen the monkeys.
Yeah.
And the monkeys have seen us. Like, unbelievable.
So, one of the last times I went through was when my mum and her seen it. She got the third brake light, the high brake light, taken out by a monkey. And we were all laughing at the time, yeah? We're like, ha ha ha, that's so
This
funny.
is on the rear door?
Yeah. Right at the top, on the one in the glass. But it's not in the glass, it's just above the glass in the metalwork. Yeah. It's just so easy to get out. So, monkeys left off with that. So we're like, ha ha, this is hilarious. In my head, I'm like, 15 quid on eBay, so we'll just get another one, so it's not really a problem. So get out of the monkey enclosure, and I'm like, I'm cars, so like, as we're on the drive back, got my phone out on eBay. Cheapest one I found was 85
What?
Quid. 85 quid for a fucking third brake light for this weather. I've seen it, because apparently they just fall out. So it's a real common part. So there's just like common part to fail or to be lost. So
either that or there's monkeys with balaclavas on in the night.
Real racket on the go. Like, it was weird because the eBay seller was monkey free.
I wonder if there's like a monkey band where they all wear them around their like a VW badge, like the Beastie Boys used to wear a VW badge.
But yeah, I couldn't believe it. And it's just, she's not got one still. I just poked the wires back through and I was like, you have to fucking leave it. Mum, car's shit anyway. But that time that we went, so interesting, right? I'm not making this up. This is 100% gospel. Yeah. Monkeys are fucking horrid little things. When it really comes down to it, they're fucking horrid little things. I'll tell you for why.
Go on.
So
hang on, you're talking about a whole a specific type of like spine monkey,
that you see,
chimpanzee.
The ones that you see when you're on the drive through of Knowlesley's fine. So I think they're all the same. All the fine, it's the same type of monkey. What hell did you hear that then?
There's a phone upstairs in the massage parlour.
Yeah. Going after them. So we went through these monkeys and they're climbing over, they're fucking, doing all sorts of crazy monkey stuff.
Crazy monkey stuff.
And I see this like quite big one, and it's just playing with something, and it's just like swinging it backwards and forwards, and just playing with something. And as we're driving around, we're getting closer and closer to this monkey. And what it turns out it's playing with is a baby monkey that's dead.
Oh, what?
So it's got this dead baby monkey by the legs, and it is swinging it around and hitting other monkeys with it, swinging it into the floor. It's a fucking tarmac, it's just swinging, and then it climbs on another car in front of us, and it's just playing with this monkey on the roof of this other car. And I'm like,
crying children.
Yeah, I've got like my mum and my sister and my little sister as well in the car, and I'm just like, and they've not noticed.
Yeah.
I'm like, should I ruin our day out and sort of draw attention to that? So obviously I did. So look what that monkey's playing with.
I can't believe you did that.
My mum's like, I started shit, and she's like, what is that? So anyway, we get closer and closer to it. This monkey jumps off and he starts coming near our car then. And then another monkey tries to take it off it and starts playing with it again. And at this point, this dead monkey is destroyed. It's in a real bad shape. And they're just fucking flailing it round and playing. And I remember just looking at it and going, nature's fucking weird.
Well, but I don't think it's weird. I think it's like, look what humans do.
So true.
It's just, there's no social structure. Well, there is a social structure, but the rules are non-existent.
Yeah. And you say nature's weird. We're fucking watching it.
Yeah.
The monkey, that's what monkeys do. They don't know that they might do, I don't know, but we're watching them fucking do it in an enclosure. We've captured them and put them in a small enclosure so we can drive around in the comfort of our cars watching them play with their dead children.
Yeah.
Fuck, so fucked up. I don't really want to go back to another safari park after that. I was sort of like, do you know what? Just don't fucking put them in there, because my
don't fuck them in there. Yeah. What? So that's just called driving through a field, though, isn't it? Well, there's no animals.
My young kids, and I saw that because there probably was in loads of the cars around us. There was probably kids screaming at that because it was pretty fucking graphic.
Yeah,
and like I remember at the time, mum, bless her, my naive mum. Oh my god. Why don't they do something? Why don't they do something?
Who's they?
So you've got these rangers driving around, haven't you? And I'm like, so Knowles' Safari Park, there's like 300-400 of these monkeys.
Yeah.
And they're all mental.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? He's going to walk over there to that monkey. Well, there's 400 other monkeys around him. He's going to take that thing off them.
With a defibrillator.
Yeah. What do you want it to do? What do you want it to do?
It's dead.
Yeah, it's fucking dead. And she's like, surely they should really stop it and go and get it. I'm like, they might try when it's dark and they're all in bed or something, but I fucking doubt it, Mum. I really doubt it. Like
it's real. That's what. Yeah,
this is just nature, isn't it? And then, interestingly, when we found out that the brake light was £85, she rang Knowles' Safari Park and said, "I don't suppose there's any way that you'd have my rear brake light, as it's very expensive." I think they just laughed and said no.
Yeah. Say that a very small monkey choked on it.
Sorry, our innkeepers they don't know sort of what different brake lights fit what cars and what days, so there's quite a lot of car parts probably.
To be honest, we've got shitloads of car parts and a small dead monkey.
That's when you go on eBay to find car parts and the username is Knowles Safari Park.
Brilliant. It's really good. They've got a scrap dealership.
That's how they pay for the monkeys.
Yeah,
all the fucking.
I bet they do a good old turn-in wheel trims.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Should we call it halt there then?
I think that's the dead monkey. I think is that the title for the thing? Dead monkey.
Yeah.
Right. Brilliant. Okay. Well, look. Thanks very much for watching or listening, if you have been, and leave us a comment if you want to ask us any questions or anything that want us to talk about next time, because obviously Wynne being a pilot has got lots of plane related stuff that we could chat about, and subscribe if you haven't done. That really help us. Really appreciate if you just hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. Just do that. That'd be nice. That's it, innit?
Yeah. Brilliant.
See you next time.
Cheers.
Bye.
Mary had a little bike. She rode it round the grass, and every time the wheel went round, the spoke went up her arse.
Mary had a little lamb. She sat it by a pylon. 1,000 volts went up its bum and turned its wool to nylon.
Mary had a little lamb. She also had a duck. She put them on the mantelpiece to see if they would fall off.